Yeah, real pleasure to be here today. So, yeah, as just said, I've left Crowdcube, where I headed up the partnership side of the business. I've been there for just over a couple of years. Really fantastic experience, and now really looking forward to working with the Centre for Alternative Finance. So, looking all the various different models within this space, as well as payment systems and new approaches to kind of credit analytics. But today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what's on within the context of music, and that's particularly relevant for rewards-based crowdfunding, where there's been a phenomenal amount of success. So, just some of the history, just some of the different models that are being applied to music. Alternative finance space. So I was actually doing older case studies, and I was quite surprised that I found Mozart in the kind of late 1700s having a crowdfunding back then. So he, in 1783, on 54 subscription group, which is now now stands upon it as a 150 subscribers, which should be people sitting in about 8. You'll see in a minute that's a little bit higher than the reward. What we claim to be the first example of crowdfunding over the internet in advance. So these guys, Marillion, they are a UK-based rock band, and they were basically bankrupt almost. Their manager said in 1997, their keyboardist said, if it wasn't for the internet, we'd have had to find something else to do. So they then asked the key question, which has really gone on to go and define what is now a multi-billion-dollar industry, which is, would you buy the album or anything else in advance? So they sacked their manager, and then they managed to get 12,000 pre-orders for their album. So it was that kind of first case study of success. Interestingly, music again has kind of pioneered this space in a sense. In 2001, a guy called Brian Camilio launched the first music-based or creative industry-based crowdfunding platform. Turning to Kickstarter, so Kickstarter, as you're probably aware, is the largest crowdfunding platform in the reward space, and has really been the organization that has brought crowdfunding into the popular mindset. So they've raised almost $1.7 billion to date, and over $141 million has gone into the music industry. So in terms of the number of successfully funded projects on Kickstarter, in total there's been over 93,000, and within music there's over 21,000 successfully funded music projects, so pretty substantial numbers. Interestingly, if you look, the success rate across Kickstarter for every single project across any kind of sector or space is just over 36%. With music, it's over 51%. So the success rate of music-based projects is massively higher, and perhaps that is due to the relatively lower amount that people are raising. So you're looking at almost $7,000 per project as opposed to over $18,000. So the lower kind of amounts that people then it lends itself very well to fans and secure the funding that they need to put their creative work, get their creative work. Coming back to the point that I was saying, the amounts that people give projects through reward investment at all, are giving money in return. The most common amount that people are giving in the list of investing to the traditional way from the way that music is being those coupled with solution. You don't know. To serve the this technology, just the way that digital content tool. And then you've also got all the social infrastructure, the social media, all of these various different content platforms, YouTube, etc., that facilitate kind of peer-to-peer network marketing that allow kind of massive ways to distribute your music in very, very different ways to, say, 10 years ago. Now, just a few case studies here. So this was Maria Schneider. So 2004, she used Artist Share to raise funding for her album Concert in a Garden. They raised $130,000. It was one of the first music-based projects on Artist Share, and it was exclusively distributed on that crowdfunding platform. And amazingly, it picked up the Grammy Award in 2005 for the Best Large Jazz Ensemble, and she's continued to go on to be very, very successful, working with Artist Share and other organisations as well. Now, Amanda Palmer, when you're looking at kind of music crowdfunding, she always comes up as a case study because she was basically the most successfully funded project within that sector on Kickstarter. Some controversy there, but she raised over $1 million. Almost 25,000 people backed her album, Amanda Palmer and the Grand Theft Orchestra, and it was the most successful music campaign ever, as far as I'm aware. And she asked, is this the future of music? Part of it, I would say. Just a few other examples of how music and technology have successfully raised money. So look at Sun House on Kickstarter. These kind of cool bits of kit that connect onto your traditional drum kits and basically allow you to make an infinite amount of sound. So you can attach any kind of digital sound to your traditional drum kit. So you can just increase the flexibility of it infinitely. And they raised almost $100,000 with 328 backers. One of my favorite companies that I worked with on Crowdcube was a company called Mindflood. It's these little synthesizers that are basically musical Lego. So each of these synthesizers you can program on an accompanying piece of software that you can kind of play around with at home, and then you clip these synthesizers together to basically, again, create an infinite amount of sound at your home, and it's kind of mixing that coding with music. So, and also they've got an initiative to be training kids to get involved and understand how to use that technology as well. Pono Music, very successful campaign, raised over $6 million, and it is apparently the best quality music streamer that is available. So fantastically successful campaign, over 18,000 backers there. And then a little while ago, I don't know whether you know these guys from the Foo Fighters, so Dave Grohl, who was previously, or once upon a time, a drummer for Nirvana, joined the Foo Fighters after that. In Italy, this photo was taken. 1,000 musicians came together, Learn to Fly, which is a song by Foo Fighters, and they played this and asked the Foo Fighters. Very, very interesting, because they're basically kind of an open where they're basically letting fans come together, pay for the tickets up front, if they can get enough people together, the band can play them. So people can get kind of hubbub experiment and Prodigy Fund. With Hubbub, it's an education-based platform that basically builds crowdfunding platforms for universities so they can then market their opportunities to the alumni. So there's been a few examples of industry and music context. So one was called Rosie, wanted to go and study the creative arts and music at Harvard and raised over £10,000 for her postgrad studies. That basically anybody to projects and fund them through donations in order to further their research. And again, there's been a few applications within the music and creative industry. Prodigy Finance, helping to fund their studies, and as Ryan mentioned earlier, with graduates, and that was actually a platform that studies. Sort of providing tuition finance is billion. With are relatively low. To put together a campaign and run time consuming. So perhaps the opportunity for a subscription model where you've got that ongoing payment from your fans and supporters, and exploring that within the context of the creative industry. So I think there's plenty of opportunity there. Also on the revenue share side, so as I said, music, creative industries, it's tended to be non-investment based crowdfunding on the reward, but there's definitely plenty of potential to investing, film, games, video. Funding within the Arts Council's Creative England, so there's been more of that. And then there's crowdsourcing. This is very experimental at the moment, but I see that involved, it makes a lot of sense. Why not? Where the demand is for artists, and if there is enough demand there, without taking the risk of setting up and marketing and see if anyone turns up, why not just get those people together, pay up front, and if there's enough people, the bands will come to play. So I just quickly want to finish on what the Cambridge Centre is going to be doing over the next few months. So in 2013 and 14, the most cutting-edge reports measuring and benchmarking the UK alternative finance market. 2015, that expanded to Europe. That'll be the Americas, rest of China, and continuing those market reports to Europe.
Thanks very much, Kieran. We don't have a huge amount of time. Question I'd like to ask, then maybe you could take one or two more max from the audience, and I don't want to cannibalise the speakers to cannibalise one another, which is a horrible image, isn't it? But first off, Kieran, project financing. I mean, that's fascinating insight into the future of the music industry. But how, talking of cannibalisation, how is that going to have an impact on equity raises? I mean, once upon a time you were at Crowdcube. Are we going to see more, if we want to have, say, produce an album, rather than equity raised to become a studio, it's just simply project financing, which is far more sort of instant and attractive than the essence of crowdfunding, isn't it? So in structural terms, I'm saying, is project financing really going to eat into equity raises?
They both coexist. Like Crowdcube in its current form would never fund an album, but they would fund a production studio. In certain cases, I don't think they have yet, but I think they will both work in tandem. So individual projects, they're always going to need the funding to promote a new album or a new gig or concert, or whatever it may be, but the ongoing finance for the studios in order to invest in R&D if it's relevant, for example, that requires kind of almost a different source of funding, whereas the project finance, you need to raise that money to fund that particular project and distribute it. Once you've done that, you don't have the funds left to continue within your business. So I think both will coexist, but that will be coupled with kind of external sources of funding as well. I think we're going to be seeing more and more of that.
Okay, very good. You take one more, just before, because we do need to get to David Tennant. Gordon?
I just wanted to mention one case of music crowdfunding which you didn't mention, which is almost getting close to equity. And that was David Byrne and Brian Eno a few years ago made an album together, and they crowdfunded advance orders for it, and they gave the purchasers the choice of low quality MP3s, high quality, right the way up to a box with art in it and stuff. And people just chose whether they wanted the $50 version or the $2 version. And they considered, because they raised more money in